Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Friends, before going into the details of the war, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please support by subscribing and turning on the notification bell. We are a strong community. Russians equally supportive of continuing war in Ukraine or opening peace talks, VCM head says Staunton, October 24 in words that recall W.H. Auden's poem, The Unknown Citizen, who was for peace when peace was at hand and who went to war when it began. Valery Fyodorov, the head of the VCM polling agency, says Russians will be equally supportive of continuing the war in Ukraine to a victorious end or opening peace talks. The high level of support for Vladimir Putin and his war, Fyodorov says, reflects the deference of the population to what Putin chooses to do. But his words suggest that they back the war less for their own reasons than because they support him, and that if he changed course, they would too. That suggests two things, both of which may be critical. On the one hand, it means that Putin is not constrained by war fever in the population as many imagine. And on the other, it also means that the patriotic enthusiasm Putin's propagandists could change on a dime, or in this case a kopeck, if he changed course. Return of Ukrainian flag to Crimea will mean arrival of European Union there. Zelensky. The return of the Ukrainian flag to Crimea will mean the arrival of the European Union on the peninsula in the full sense of these words, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, speaking online at the Crimea Platform Parliamentary Summit on Tuesday. The arrival of the Ukrainian flag in Crimea is the arrival on the peninsula of the European Union in the full sense of these words, of all levels of our integration, he said. The return of the Ukrainian flag to Crimea is the return of the usual European normalcy, safe, social, cultural. These are huge opportunities for development. All this does not exist in Crimea now, it cannot be. Russia has deprived our peninsula of development, the president said. The return of the Ukrainian flag is the protection of human rights, freedom for all people in Crimea, for all communities, he stressed. To achieve this goal, Zelensky said, we need sufficient support, defense, financial, sanctions, as the foundation for the future of Crimea. Then, when we reach our borders, we will need your experience, on security, political, legal, social planes, he said, addressing the summit participants. This will be necessary in order to return a full life to Crimea, and I want justice for people in Crimea, Zelensky stressed. We must make our format a start for other humanitarian and political platforms, promote the de-occupation of other territories, from Transnistria to the Northern Territories, 4 Kuril Islands, the president said. Promise me that you will definitely visit our Ukrainian Crimea as soon as we return the national flag there, Zelensky also said, addressing the summit participants. Russia should permanently lose its great power status, says Polish ambassador to the UN. Russia should be deprived of its power status, as impunity could be an incentive for hostile actions by other countries. Polish ambassador to the UN Krzysztof Sierski is of the opinion that the world community needs to address the long-term consequences of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Russia should be deprived of its power status, as impunity could be an incentive for hostile actions by other countries, says Sierski. This power status gives the right to intervene in various parts of the world, set out your own spheres of influence, and also hold a privileged seat in the UN Security Council, Sierski explained in an interview with Polish radio. The ambassador stressed that Russia cannot remain unpunished in the context of its actions in Ukraine. According to Sierski, addressing those consequences can happen only when the United States makes a decision, but this can only happen when the elections in the US are concluded. The war has changed its character. Its goal is to wear the Ukraine down, to harass it relentlessly until it capitulates due to the humanitarian disaster. That is why us, as the collective West, those who do not want such a scenario, need to understand that the war cannot continue in its current state. We need to get closer to some kind of peaceful solution, he said. Sierski points out that no matter what path towards ending the war is chosen by Western countries, loss of Ukrainian territory cannot be the price of that peace. That is why appropriate military support needs to be provided, to allow Ukraine to retain its territorial integrity, Shursky said. President's office does not rule out exchanging Motor Sich Company president for Ukrainian POW's Vyacheslav Boguslayev, president of the Motor Sich Aircraft Engine Company, who has Russian citizenship, could be exchanged for Ukrainian prisoners of war captured by the Russians. Source: Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, on Nastoyashaya Vremya, current time, a Russian-language TV channel run by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty details. When asked whether Ukraine has ruled out exchanging Boguslayev, Podolyak replied, "No, we will not rule out the possibility of exchange, ed. If necessary, we will do all we can to bring back real citizens of Ukraine. These persons, Boguslayev, ed. may also be included on the exchange list." He also added that the exchange process could take place in the same way as in the case of the exchange of Viktor Medvedchuk, emphasizing that Ukraine will use any opportunity to bring back its citizens. Background: on the 22nd of October, Ukrainska Pravda learned that the security service of Ukraine had detained Vyacheslav Boguslayev, the honorary president of Motor Sich and a former member of the Ukrainian parliament. On the 23rd of October, the Security Service of Ukraine confirmed the detention of the president of Motor Sich and the head of the company's Department of Foreign Economic Activities. They were charged with collaboration and aiding the aggressor state. According to the investigation, these officials acted in collusion with representatives of Russia's Rostec Corporation, which is close to the Kremlin. They set up multinational channels for the illegal supply of wholesale batches of Ukrainian aircraft engines to the aggressor country. On the 24th of October, Vyacheslav Boguslayev and the head of the Department of Foreign Economic Activities, Oleh Gyuba, were remanded in custody for 2 months, until the 20th of December, by the Shevchenkivsky District Court in Kyiv. Occupiers call on people to join territorial defense in Kherson, but there are no takers. The Russians are calling on all the people to join the so-called territorial defense forces in Kherson Oblast. However, nobody in Kherson is willing to risk their lives for the invaders. Source: National Resistance Center. Quote: while the Russians are telling people about 87% support cast in sham referendum and the crimes of the so-called Kyiv regime, for some reason no one is willing to defend the people's power. The occupiers' propagandists are walking around the city and spreading leaflets to no avail. Details: the National Resistance Center has emphasized that the residents of occupied Kherson Oblast are not willing to go to war for the occupiers. This demonstrates once more the true level of support that the Russians enjoy in Kherson and the Oblast. Background: from the very beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, queues of people wanting to defend their homeland appeared throughout the entire country. Civilian men, armed only with Molotov cocktails as their weapons, fought the Russian soldiers in Kherson on the 1st of March. The National Resistance Center reminded that on that occasion the Russians had killed over 20 heroes in the Buzkovy Park in Kherson. U.S. is considering to provide Ukraine with Hawk air defense missile systems. On October 13, 2022, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg announced that Spain would send 4 medium-range homing all-the-way killer, Hawk, air defense missile systems to Ukraine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.